Great. We will start with the opening statement and then we'll get into questions.
I thought that we were resilient and bounced back time and time again. We didn't have the start to the game that we wanted to have, and then we fought back in the first quarter. Thought the second quarter we adjusted and played pretty well. Took them to overtime and had opportunities, but we turned it over in overtime, and I thought that was huge. Sent them to the free throw line too many times, and we didn't get to the free throw line enough. So we have to play. One of our things was to try to play defense without fouling, and we were unable to do that all night long. So you got to stay locked in and make those things happen. But hats off to Incarnate Word. They did the things they had to do to win a basketball game on the road, and it's a tough place to play. Our fans make it a hard environment and for visitors, and they did a really good job for us tonight.
Obviously, first overtime of the game, it seemed like you guys didn't really get off to the start that you wanted in that period. It kind of was a little too much to overcome after that. What did you kind of see in the early goings of overtime to allow you to fall into that kind of hole that you got in?
Well, there's a lot of psychology, I think, that goes into overtime, and we were up 4 with about a minute 20 or something like that, and I think our players thought, okay, one stop, and we got this, and then we didn't get the stop, and then they tied it to go to overtime, and I think we went in deflated. We went in, oh gosh, we had it. And you have to flush it because there's nothing you can do about what happened in regulation when you get to overtime. It's what's in front of you. And I thought we started with a little bit of a hangover from the way the last minute of the game went.
Paige, did you kind of feel what Coach was saying there, like that kind of sense of deflation going into overtime after it seemed like you guys were on a good track in the fourth quarter at the end there?
Definitely. I think that we definitely did the things that we thought we did the things we needed to do to win just regular game, and then I fouled and then turned over, so then we had to go into overtime, but we had to learn to let that go and go into overtime thinking, okay, it's a new game, let's put it away, rather than dwelling on what happened in the regular time.
Yeah, Coach, kind of the end of the fourth quarter you were mentioning, just what from your vantage point did you see at the end that kind of allowed them to get back in the game when they were going up like that?
Well, I thought, they shot the 3 and we fouled them, and I think that's deflating. You have to have strong leadership that say we fight through this, and we're still ahead. We're still in great shape. We're still up 2 after that foul. And, we got to come down. We want to have a good execution on offense, and thought we had an adequate execution on offense. And then you got to get back and play transition D and do what we need to do to get a stop. But it's not one play, and I think players way too often, lay in bed at night thinking, oh my gosh, it was that play. No, there's a lot of plays that add up to helping a team win a game or making putting you in harm's way. And so, we did a good job bouncing back after everything that happened bad to us. I didn't think we played real well, but we were resilient and kept fighting.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned the free throws and the fouls. I know some of that was at the end of the game when you're trying to get back into it, but they still shot like 9 more free throws. They drew 9 more fouls. So what was kind of the reasoning behind that to you from your vantage point? Was it just like, what was it?
It's just we have to adjust to the way the officials call it. If they are calling it tight and calling hand checks, then we got to stop hand checking. If they are letting you get out there and play handsy defense, and we got to adjust. And I didn't think we adjusted as well as we needed to adjust.
Okay, did you think that was kind of just them being able to draw fouls well, or were you guys just not in position, or why do you think there was kind of that discrepancy there in the fouling wise?
I definitely think sometimes we don't get there on time, and that causes the fouls, or we try to make it up our positioning, and then we get hit with an easy foul. So just being in the right place at the right time will help us in the long run to not get as many fouls down the stretch.
Yeah, and it seemed like the turnover battle was pretty close, but it seemed like a lot of those were kind of like down the stretch. Like, what do you need to see from them and like in these kind of close late game situations in terms of holding on to the ball like that?
I think as coaches, we got to find some offensive sets that they feel comfortable in, and some offensive sets that we can execute at. So when we get into crunch time, we can have better looks at the basket. We got to execute a little bit better than we have. We have multiple offenses, but we've tried to lately trim it back so that we could execute without error every one of our offenses. So, you know, we have to execute what we call, and we have to execute it at a higher level.
Coach, just recapping on the week, y'all had some positives on Thursdays, and then obviously there were some negatives today, but there were also positives here. What are you looking forward to going into this next week as y'all look to secure your spot into the conference tournament?
Well, I think if you clean this game up, and let's say we didn't turn it over in overtime, okay? Let's say we didn't put them at the free throw line 22 times. Then I think that we have a much better opportunity to win the game. I think we shot 30-something% from the floor. We got to try to find a way to get one or two open looks. And, you know, it's late in February. Everybody knows everybody's plays. Everybody knows where you're going, what you're going to do. So we got to go find a way to make some plays. And I think we can do that. We have good players that we just got to put them in the right environment.
Yeah, and Paige, obviously, Nichols McNeese, last road trip of the year, the last one especially is pretty big standings-wise. What are kind of the keys that you want to see from them in order to try to walk away with those with 2 wins this coming week?
Yeah, I think we have to just go in it with this is win or go home. We want to make it to the tournament, and we have to go out there and show that we're capable of going to the tournament and being able to win. So we have to go in with that mindset of, hey, just because they beat us the first time and we have been playing our best basketball, let's start it right now and go in and get the dub.